Hello, welcome to Wellness Astrology. I am your astro coach, Sarah Waggles, who doesn't have both of her earbuds in, so I felt very confused for a second. We are here for the full moon in Libra. This is April 11th through the 12th. The full moon peaks on the 12th, and then Venus stations direct. Hallelujah. We have all planets direct from the 12th till sometime in May. I think Pluto will go retrograde. But for the foreseeable future, or at least our personal planets, meaning Mercury, Venus, and Mars, will all be direct. Let's have a party just for that alone. Unfortunately, we still have another week or so of Mars in his detriment, and we all can't wait for Mars to get into Leo on the 18th. I think it's just dragging ass at this point. Nobody seems to be very happy about it anymore. It's been in Cancer since the beginning of January. We're all over it. So hang in there. We're almost through Mars in Cancer, and he's been in Cancer for a very long time. So, okay. And then something else that I have not mentioned, and I meant to, but I forgot, and I meant to look at my notes, and I forgot, and I finally did today. From April 7th until April 25th, we have, and I'll show you in the chart in just a second. We have Venus, Saturn, and the North Node all conjunct in Pisces, and they're going to dance together from 25 degrees of Pisces to 27 degrees of Pisces, where I think they will finally break apart. At least that's how I have it in my annual notes that I wrote when I went through the astrology for the whole year. That this would be a thing in April. And I'm like, oh my God, April, that's going to be because what's happening is, and what you'll see with this full moon is the rose-colored goggles or the beer goggles, they're like stuck to your face, like glued to your eyebrows, are going to be yanked off and you've got to see something you're unwilling to see, probably something to do with your victimhood, something to do with taking responsibility for yourself or accountability for yourself, or something like that. This may have something to do with relationships or finances because Venus, but this is Saturn coming in the mix of this Venus and Saturn have very opposing energies, kind of like Neptune and Saturn have very opposing energies, in that Saturn is like the disciplinarian, the father, the sit down, shut up, I got something to say, and you need to hear how these rules are going to go. And where Venus, in especially Venus in Pisces, where she's exalted, is like, I just want to have fun and be beautiful and be flowy and lay on a raft in the pool or in the pond in the lake or whatever. I just want to chill. And Saturn's like, no, no. Um, and to add to that, this whole situation in Pisces is trining Mars in Cancer, who is exhausted. And then there's also a little minor aspect to Uranus in Taurus that's like, get up, do something about it. You need to do something about it. And Saturn is there to tell you what you need to do about it. So this is a reality check. And I don't know if anyone else has noticed, just in various things. I'm on TikTok. I know a lot of you are not on TikTok, but there has been a lot of I saw like a 30-year-old teacher who got arrested for inappropriate relations with a teen student. And I'm noticing a lot of things like that, like a lot of women, maybe not necessarily women, because I'm sure it's happening to men too. It's just crossing my radar that it's women that related to this whole Venus retrograde, women falling from grace. And so, I mean, that situation happened in Illinois, which just could be why it's crossing my radar because I'm an Illinois person. So by the way, my governor is embarrassing. Just in case anybody ever wanted to know my opinion about my current state governor, and historically, Illinois has not had a governor that has not been embarrassing. Okay, okay. It's part of being in Illinois. Your governors are gonna suck. Unless you live in Chicago, then you've got it kind of made in the shade. But I think even Chicago has taken quite a hit with this current state administration. For anyone who's been to Chicago recently, like I haven't been there since 2023, I think was the last time I was in Chicago. And it is definitely not the Chicago I lived in for 15 years of my adult life, where if you went downtown on State Street, even if it was the dead of winter and it was snowing and freezing, everyone was having a good time. Same with Michigan Avenue. Like people had fun on State Street. There was always music playing. Some people would be singing, dancing. Yes, there was I think it was on State and Madison where you had the preacher guy constantly there. But everybody was shopping, everyone was having fun, everyone was nice. The last time I was on State Street, it's just not the same. So even Chicago is taking a hit. But anyway, I digress. The point is that I just wanted to say that the governor of Illinois is embarrassing. Um, um, but what I'm noticing is like this is a reality check. Like people thought, and this is also to do with Neptune and Aries, is like people thought they could get away with shit, and they kind of could get away with shit with Neptune and Pisces because everything was just kind of obscured and flow and diluted and all of those things with Neptune and Pisces. Neptune ain't in Pisces no more. He's in Aries and he is stirring shit up. And then he left Saturn behind in Pisces. Oh boy. Like this is just people's worlds are kind of getting reality checked hard. You may see breakups with this full moon with Venus stationing direct. And things like that. So let me pull up the chart. I could talk about this shit for hours as I have proven over time, but let's pull up the chart so you actually get an idea of what the astrology looks like. Hang on. Alrighty. So this full moon peaks on Saturday at 7:21 p.m. That is central. What are we on? Central Daylight Time, Central, whatever we're on, Central Time. It's at 23 degrees of Libra, opposite the sun and Chiron at 23 degrees of Aries. So let's not forget that we have Chiron in the mix here for this full moon in Aries. That could definitely kick things up. But the thing that I really see with this is like seeing a different perspective. Like I said, the goggles are being ripped off your face. And so you're having to confront something that you may or may not want to have to confront, particularly around like whatever story you're trying to tell yourself. Remember that a lot of this concentrated energy is in Pisces yet here with Venus and Saturn and the North Node and Mercury is still in Pisces. So this is a lot of big, huge endings, and this is going to persist until the 25th or for the better part of the rest of the month of April. So if you're feeling like you're moving through the muck, and then if we add to that this trine to Mars in Cancer, and Mars is just done, he's exhausted, he's ready to get out of the water. And get back into the fire of Leo and all of that. But then if let's add another part of this, we've got the sextile to Uranus and Taurus. So the only way out is to shake things up. The only way through it is to shake it up. And that could mean you shake it up by zooming out and getting a different perspective on the situation, whether it is your personal situation, a political situation, whatever it is there's the way out is to shake it up, is to do something. And with Neptune now being in Aries, you've got to take some action. You've got to take some action. I think a lot of this is people getting reality checks on, like I said, Neptune being in Pisces for 15 years. We were all kind of able to like sit in our victimhood and everything's going to be okay. And we all had that delusion that everything was going to be okay. Everything's not going to be okay if you don't do something about it. And so I feel like with this moon in Libra, remember Libra is balance, it's beauty, it's justice. It seeks to have things kind of be peaceful. But opposite the sun and Chiron in Aries, I don't know that it's going to be that peaceful. I think and it's also a Virgo, it's also a Venus ruled full moon on a day that Venus stations direct. The Venus will station direct within an hour of the peak of this full moon. And so given what I've seen thus far of this Venus retrograde, this may not be good for some people. Like it could be a difficult full moon because like I think with the teacher that I know of, her court date is like the 14th, which is right after this full moon. And so I don't know anything about her. I tried to find her birthday, but I can tell you she's in her Saturn return, just judging by her age. Um, and if her Saturn return, if it's what I think it is, just by going back and looking at, um, that year, 1995, because she's 30 years old, Saturn was at about 24, 25 degrees, throughout most of that year. So she really could be just getting hammered because it's her Saturn return. Um, and so, but again, Neptune's out of Pisces now. So it's this reality check and leaving Saturn and Venus in Pisces with the North Node. It's like you're not gonna be able to get away with the same crap story, limiting belief story, complaint story that you've been able to get away with this whole time, right? Particularly for the last 15 years. But I would say this has been going on for many people for most of their lives. So you really want to know where Pisces is in your chart, to see where this is coming up. I did go over that in the Aries season, sun and rising sign. So if you want to check that video out, I can tell you, that'll tell you where Pisces is. But I will also tell you that getting an individual reading can give you a better idea, because in an overview forecast like those sun and rising signs, I don't know if you have any Pisces placements at those points. Um, or anything in Sagittarius, because I'm noticing some stuff with folks who have Neptune in the latter degrees of Sagittarius, which would be like 1981 to 84-ish birth years. Maybe going through some stuff too, because all of this Pisces energy is squaring your Neptune. And so there's some things going on there. If you have a lot of Virgo placements in various degrees, particularly these latter degrees of Virgo, you may be going through some shit because there's a lot of push-pull activity happening. Same with Gemini. And so, um, but as far as this full moon is concerned, like, do I think this is a breakup full moon? It very well could be. It could be breaking of because the rose-colored goggles come off and you see your boss, your coworker, your business partner, your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend, your wife, your siblings. You see them in a different light. You see them for who they really are, and you're like, fuck this, I'm done. Right? F this, I'm out. I'm moving on. I can do better. I don't want to live this way anymore. So you kind of can't keep lying to yourself that everything's copacetic or okay in your relationships, whatever it is. Maybe it's even your finances and cleaning up debt, and things like that. Like it's not going to work anymore. Maybe you're like spinning your wheels with your finances, because of something like a credit card debt, mortgage debt, things like that. And you're like, fuck this. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I could save money if I, went and lived van life, RV life, or just rented a, mobile home, or, double wide or whatever. So, or even a tiny house or something like that. And so, um, and this could be like people, vacating cities, because who the hell would want to pay? This is literally why I left the Bay Area of California, was I didn't want to have to earn the income that it was going to take to pay rent in the Bay Area. Like, it's not a matter of I didn't want to earn the money or do the work. It's that I didn't want to do it just to pay rent. Like, dang. Anyway, so that could be a thing too, is like I just talked about with Chicago, like people are leaving Chicago in droves because it's like ridiculous. Um, and it's getting worse by the day. But personally, I don't want to live in Chicago because literally the rats are so bad. It's almost as bad as New York City at this point. And I've never even been to New York City, but I've heard horror stories. Um, and Chicago's getting just as bad. Anyway, so this is kind of one of those, like, very soon here, you're going to have to make some choices and take some actions, because Saturn is where Saturn is right now. And like I said, this is going to be going on. So we're talking about April 12th. So you've got like what, 10, 11, 12 more days of this setup in Pisces. So it's going to be a bit longer. And in the mix of that, very quickly here in about 6 days, Mars will be out of that and he'll be into a different scenario. So we've got a lot of astrology about to play out very quickly. So I hope you're buckled up and and ready. Um, I know I am. I know my life is about to be my life's about to make some changes. So I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I've talked about it on here before that like, you guys will probably be the first to know because I film all the time. So anyway, let's get some tarot and see what's change things up a little bit. Um, so yeah, how we all liking Neptune and Aries? Have we noticed changes yet? I definitely noticed it. I felt it like the day it went into Aries. I was like, people just got fucking spicy. So, tarot for the full moon in Libra. Um, just make sure you're processing all of the emotion and letting your body do what your body needs to do to process stuff. Um, because like I think I've said it before, like root chakra, solar plexus chakra may need extra attention. Um, and so yeah. All right. Let's see what we got going on with the tarot. Oh, the High Priestess. Yep. High Priestess in reverse. Counselor Troy in reverse. This is denial of your abilities, your powers, your power, your abilities. You're in denial. And I see a lot of people there right now. Like people are in denial that, they of their own brilliance and their own gifts. And they fight it and they don't want to be a part of it, or they criticize it, judge it. Um, like, oh, I'm about to go through some fucked up shit again. No, you're not going through fucked up shit. You're going through divine gifts and divine brilliance. And so denying it is like denying a part of yourself that exists. Like, I can't deny that I'm legally blind, right? So, but I feel like that's what this is. You're denying your gifts, your divine skills that you were granted when you incarnated here. Um, and the more you deny it and the more you beat yourself up or beat it up, and be careful of your words, basically. Be careful of how you define or speak about your divine gifts, your divine brilliance. We also got the Queen of Batleths in reverse. Okay. Hmm. I mean, this kind of speaks to that women fighting for, like, it's interesting that I got two female characters here, two female cards here. Um, and I just mentioned like women kind of falling from grace, and whatnot. And I think this is a combination of people denying themselves and there's something like out of balance with the feminine, not necessarily with females, but with the feminine energy, mommy wounds, perhaps, something like that. But, and I've also seen with Chiron and Aries, and this full moon is going to oppose Chiron and Aries, like some, um, like what's the term I'm thinking of? Like I want to almost say like misogyny, or men thinking they're holier than thou because they do labor or man jobs, and things like that. I know that seems kind of old school, but um, there's going to be probably like an ongoing delicate balance of, because things are being dissolved and movements are not happening as like people are denying like feminism and stuff like that, which thank God. Um, if you've heard me talk before, I'm not a huge fan of feminism, and I used to be a full-on feminist. And there's a reason why I don't, because when you're a feminist, you do not allow people to help and support you when you need help and support. And then when you need it, they're like, fuck off. Anyway, so I have lots of issues with feminism, but I also think there's a lot of deep issues with feminism, but I feel like because we're like stepping into more of a we've almost gone to the other extreme. Now men are trying to be more misogynistic and I worked all day and now I have to come home and do all this shit because nobody did this shit. No, people did a lot of shit, but there's still a lot of shit that needs to be done, right? Like if you come home and you've got to do chores, that's just part of being coming home, right? Like if you come home to your wife and you're pissed because you have to take out the trash or you have to do this or that, it's not that she didn't do anything all day. It's just that there was that many things that needed to get done, right? I think there's also just a lot of unhealed stuff with the masculine that is being triggered and pulled to the surface and probably will be with this full moon with conjunct Chiron in a masculine sign. Like there's, just some unhealed masculine wounds that are surfacing. So everybody's having something surface. This isn't me. I'm not singling any group out. But I do feel like there's an out of balance situation right now between masculine and feminine. And it's because things are being dissolved that's kind of creating this sort of like confusion of what's what, who's what. Um, but I feel like there's a lot of that that was maybe brought upon ourselves because of things that maybe we as a collective allowed people to get away with. Maybe you can read into the subtlety of that. I'm all for everybody living life how they choose to live life. That's what I'm going to say. But I think that there needs to be a line about, because I think everyone deserves to have equal rights. That's not what I'm going for. I'm going for when you push for a certain movement, it creates an out of balance situation that now we're having to live through, is the out of balance of what was encouraged or whatever for years. So now it's got to be rebalanced and that's going to take time. Um, okay, we got the direction guardian. Hmm. Choose your path. Yeah, like I said, with that Mars Mars trining the Pisces stuff and the little aspect, sextile aspect to Uranus and Taurus, you've got to choose. You have to make a choice. And you can either stay in your shit, your karma, you can live out the same karmic cycle over and over and over. You can live out the same victim blame, shame cycle over and over and over, or you can make a choice. Nope, I'm going to go get the healing. I'm going to go get the therapy. I'm going to go get the coach, get the astrologer, get the hypnosis, whatever it is. You can go get the different job that makes you happier. You can go get go get the product that's going to be better for you. Da 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 da. You know, that's going to make things better. So direction guardian is all about like you choose your path. Are you going to keep living the karmic cycle or are you going to make some fucking powerful ass choices to make your life go better regardless of whatever the fuck the government is doing, because that's going to keep going the way that it's going to keep going regardless of how you choose to live your life. So anyway, all right. I hope this was helpful. Happy full moon in Libra. This breaks up the eclipse cycle. So hurrah. We are days away from Mars leaving Cancer. Hurrah. Venus is direct. Hurrah. So we're moving forward now, but get ready because the forward momentum is about to heat up pretty significantly. So I'll talk to you in the next video. Have a great weekend.